Drop in, gear up, and compete for glory in PUBG Mobile. Fight in explosive 100-man battles to be the last player standing. You can experience incredible, realistic graphics, a variety of play modes, and you can download the official mobile version of PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds for free. Go to your Android or iOS app store and type in PUBG Mobile. You can collect a special reward using the link and promo code provided in the episode description. Play now.
Welcome to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast, coming to you from Draft.com Studios with your hosts, Andy Holloway, Jason Moore, and Mike Wright.
Welcome in. Let's go. It's matchup time. Andy, Jason, Mike, the Fantasy Footballers back.
Andy, Jason, Mike. Yeah, sounded good. Sounded right.
It's just what came out, Mike. I know that there's a certain...
There is a cadence.
There's
there
a
is an
routine.
order. There is a protocol. Andy, Mike, and Jason.
Yeah.
Like even if I'm announcing it,
I was doing
I
it
say
based-
Andy, Mike, and Jason.
I know, you're right, but I guess inside
You were
my
doing
brain,
ugly to handsome. I got you.
accuracy rankings on the year. That's where I was
Oh,
for whatever reason.
Oh,
Get body.
Thursday, November 8th, welcome into the Fantasy Footballers. I'm actually a little disheveled because we have a quick question of the day each and every day. Now I have a quick question.
Okay.
Okay, I got like a preemptive quick question about life.
Super quick.
So this is like I give you a one-syllable answer.
No. You can give whatever answer you want. Now this is because it's Christmas related.
Quick.
And I know how you guys feel about Christmas. You're very,
Love it.
very pro-Christmas.
Pro-Christmas, yes.
My tree is up.
Neither of you guys have your Thanksgiving lights up. You skipped right to Christmas.
I don't know what Thanksgiving lights are.
That's my point. There are
Yeah,
none.
'cause-
You should be putting your Christmas lights up now.
Yes.
Happiness
100%.
is fun. However, my wife and I got into a little debate this morning about Christmas presents. A friendly debate. I told her I'd poll you guys real quick.
Okay.
And the listeners,
Sure.
the Foot Clan, they can weigh in on this. See how grumpy I am. It's a grumpy check.
I think I know what's coming, but let's hear it.
She told me that we got the kids some special presents. I'm not going to say what they are. They might be listening to this podcast. They might subscribe, just like every one of you. And got them some these big presents. And she wants to do the box in a 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 box thing. Okay?
Oh, the hilarious gag.
Correct.
I love it.
Oh,
I am a pro box in a box in a box in a box. If you can layer that thing 20 times, that is 20 times better of a present.
so you are clearly on my wife's side.
Yes, I am.
Because I kind of made the point. I'm like, you can do what you want, but that's dumb.
It's dumb.
Yeah, baby.
It's dumb.
Box in a box is like, I told her,
I put my box in the box.
I showed her all the
Step
facial
two.
the facial
Put the box in a
expressions
box.
that I have when people have done this to me in the past. The first one, you kind of laugh and you go, oh, it's a box in a box. The second box, you go, and you kind of soft smile like, you got me again. Third box, I'm done.
Here's the
I
deal.
want the present.
Here's the deal. You've got to take it both far enough. You've got to make it to where you break through the frustration
Yeah, and it's
to
funny.
the comedy.
Family Guy style.
Yes, you take it to the limit, and the final item better be good.
Oh,
I mean, if it's
that makes
like,
sense.
That's where, this is a diamond ring. This is a proposal
You're
situation.
going to give your kids a diamond ring?
Yeah. I'm
That's the
marrying
problem
it.
with the box in the box in the box. The gift can only be
So
so
big.
large, and for children,
That doesn't work.
I don't know, a phone,
A
a
Fitbit.
phone. You're giving your kids a phone.
I'm not, but I'm saying that's a very valuable small item.
That's straight up what it is.
See? You
don't-
box the box out of box that thing.
Keep it down.
Well, then
I don't want them to hear.
You've got your own issues you're about to deal with.
Yeah, you're probably right. All right, real quick question of the day. This one relates to fantasy football, so you'll be happy.
Hey,
about
we're
that.
back on track.
I do want to know how grumpy I am, so let me know on Twitter if I'm a complete grump or just efficient on Christmas morning. When setting your fantasy starting lineup, how much do you pay attention to your opponent's team? Do you ever let it impact your own start-sit decisions? That's the quick question. It's a good one. My answer is overall yes. I do look, obviously. I do let it affect my start-sit decisions. Not as much in the beginning of the year, But once I have a gauge on my team and my opponent and what I need from them, I may start a flex player differently because I need boom or I need safety.
Yeah, that makes sense.
There should not be a week that goes by where you set your lineup without looking at your opponent. That's just
right in the eyes.
It's leaving, it's only loading 5 bullets into your 6, bullet revolver. You've got to take all the ammunition you can, and don't overemphasize it. Don't be like, oh, well, this is a good team, so I have to go nuts and start the crazy guy. But that is essentially you choose whether in your flex, your questionable guys, when you've got 3 or 4 guys on your bench that you're usually choosing to start one of those guys, do you want to go upside or do you want to go safe based on your opponent? Or sometimes, and this is more rare, you might decide to, I'm going to play a wide receiver specifically because it's against, he's starting that quarterback or a situation like that.
You have inspired me to bring back the team bench your entire team. So, Andy, go ahead. Look at our matchup and see if you can make decisions.
Oh, so what Mike has done is he has removed all of his starters.
Yes.
And put them on the bench.
His whole team is
and now
I just took a dump on your little strategy.
Yeah, because I can't figure out whether or not you're going to play some of these guys.
I love that.
Good luck.
I just want to say, if you do that, you better not forget to get players.
Don't tell me how to live, Brooks. I live on the edge.
Set those alerts.
I'm reckless.
Don't forget that you did that.
It is a very good point, Brooks, because if
Melvin
you leave
Gordon,
all your players
I wonder
on your
if
bench,
Melvin
you lose.
Gordon's going to climb into that lineup at some point.
I don't know.
I will say this. The other consideration I would take is if my opponent has 2 or 3 players from the same team and I'm thinking about playing the defense opposing that team, I might risk mitigate a little bit in case those guys have a big game. I don't want it to negatively impact my defense so that everything weighs so heavily. That would be another thing I think about. Obviously, with Mike's team, I can't do that. He's put me into a sea of confusion.
Yeah.
What a strat.
I don't know what to do now. I don't even know whether to start Saquon. All right, Jason, what were you going to say?
I really do enjoy that troll. It's so stupid. I mean, it's so dumb. It is pointless, but I love benching my whole roster so that when other people look, it's like, oh, yeah, you're clearly favored. You've got all the check marks. You're going to win this week. And
Sometimes.
Then,
I think I'm going to return it to Andy, Mike, and Jason after I heard that.
Thank you. We're back. We're back to normal. And also, yes, you are correct. It is so ridiculously childish and stupid, and yet
it brings you joy.
It brings me joy because people tilt.
And that's what I love about
people legit tilt when they see this happen. They go, "What?"
There's a little paranoia.
Yes, it's ridiculous.
What's he
but
doing?
It works. Mental warfare.
I want to get into the news and notes. We have the matchups for Week 10 on the show today. Get you ready for Week 10. Your start-sit decisions. The Thursday night game is tonight. It's going to be a fun one.
Reminder to get your Thursday night players into the wide receiver and running back and out of the flex.
Absolutely. Before we get into news and notes, I did want to jump in real quick and just how many shows is this? This is 650 shows. The principle behind this show is we're trying to be accurate, we're trying to entertain, and we're always bringing a high production quality. We want to have a lot of consistency to this product, and I think we've done our best at doing that for 650 shows and counting. Now, one piece of that, right, the first piece is to be accurate. And I just want to let the Foot Clan know we are making strides here in the studio to continue to build on a very strong, accurate base that we had. Last year, we were the only show that had multiple experts in the top 15 for in-season rankings. Jason had the top 5, number 3 overall in draft ranking accuracy. But if you know anything about fantasy sports, which is to have played fantasy sports, you know that predicting results for the future it's a difficult game, right? You can stare at all the numbers, you can do everything you want, and somebody can get dragged down at the 1-yard line and the fullback gets a touchdown, and there are a million factors to consider. But what I want to let the Foot Clan know is we are working very hard to create more and more systems that build on the accurate base that we have, and more than that, like people want updates to the rankings as often as possible. We're working towards more frequent updates on the Start-Sit tool on the website on our rankings, and we're working towards making rankings available sooner.
Yeah, I mean, behind the scenes, some of the algorithms and the proprietary stuff we've been working on
for years.
For years, we're actually just kind of rolling it out more and more. So hopefully it helps bring home more Foot Clan titles. Stick with us.
Yeah, very excited about that, and that's the goal. We want you to win. Let's get into the news.
News and notes from around the league.
I think about 4 seconds after the show finished recording yesterday, Dez Bryant officially signed a 1-year contract with the New Orleans Saints. Now, on the show, we kind of talked about the implications to a degree, and Jason mentioned that he's probably going to sign. So, Dez Bryant, Mike, how do you look at him?
Sure.
On the show, we said
fantasy?
Yeah, for fantasy, and then people really want to know, does it impact Michael Thomas, Ben Watson? Maybe it impacts Ben Watson a little bit.
Yeah, Ben Watson is the bigger impact, I think, over the season. That could happen because Dez Bryant is a touchdown machine. The interesting news that came out this morning, Cam Meredith, wide receiver for the Saints, he is going on IR with it because they're going to have to scope out his knee.
And this is
why they signed Dez. But that's a bigger deal to me. Now that like the depth chart has to sort itself out through injury, Dez is a starter. In 3 wide, Dez will be out there. And if they're putting Dez Bryant in the slot, I mean, this is what we have wanted for this entire offseason was, will Dez relinquish the facts and say, okay, maybe I'm not an elite outside presence anymore, but I could be a giant man in the slot against a mismatch, against the more inferior corner, usually the smaller corner.
Maybe he becomes what Jimmy Graham was.
Yes, and I think that I don't want to overstate this, though, for fantasy purposes. I'm not super excited about that. He's a wide receiver 3. He will have touchdown upside every single week, but I think of him more as a 40-yard guy, 40 to 50 yards.
With a touchdown chance.
With touchdown chance. So, yes,
like a nice tight end.
Yes, you can throw him in your flex, and hopefully you get the touchdown that week, but I'm not projecting him to become an every week, I've got to start him as a wide receiver too. I think that Traquan Smith is still the other outside guy. I don't think they're going to move away from the youth.
That's the question I had, though, because if you were to categorize Traquan Smith right now, he would be categorized as a wide receiver 3 candidate.
Yes.
So do you prefer Traquan because he's the outside guy, or are you looking at Dez and Traquan in the same like?
They're about the same tier for me. I think that the upside for Smith is higher because he will give you the big playability.
It really depends on what Dez has left.
Yeah. And how he's utilized, but I would still order them Michael Thomas, Traquan Smith, and Dez Bryant.
Yes, as would I.
So, don't go nuts over Dez Bryant. What I would do personally, because I do not believe Dez Bryant, maybe Dez Bryant over the course of the season takes a touchdown that would have gone to Michael Thomas away. Maybe he keeps the chains moving a couple plays and gets
extra scoring opportunities.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think it's a wash. But I would go make a somewhat cheap offer in every league for Michael Thomas because some owners, I've seen this on Twitter, I've seen this as questions are coming into me, they just think Michael Thomas is done. They think Dez Bryant is coming in, and now Michael Thomas is no longer the one, which is
because
wrong.
Of the name of Dez Bryant. Like people that don't listen to this show might think that.
Yes, and so I'm telling you, if you're out there, go make a cheap offer for Michael Thomas. See if
like
that
Brooks might think that.
See if that owner is tilting. If that owner is tilting, and you can steal a Michael Thomas,
Michael Thomas.
Congratulations,
Michael Thomas.
Michael Thomas.
Big news this morning. Darren Sproles aggravated the hamstring injury. He's going to miss Week 10.
This guy, man.
What?
So he's done.
I had not heard that.
I feel so bad for him.
Yeah, I heard. Oh, he's finally ready. He's back.
Yeah, he re-aggravated this morning. I mean, if you didn't read the write-up from Sproles over the offseason of why he is coming back, it was a great piece, emotionally powerful.
Before the season.
So honest.
So for him to have dealt with this, I mean, not that we were expecting Sproles to be a huge fantasy contributor this year, but he's been the man for a long time. Huge respect for Darren Sproles, so this is very unfortunate to see him lose his season and possibly the end of his career.
This has to be the end of his career.
Yeah.
Well, no. I mean, because he's just going to miss Week 10. So I don't think it's the end of his career. He just aggravated it, and we'll see what happens in Week 11. We got to fly through this news. We got a lot of matchups to get to. Allen Robinson practicing in full for Week 10.
It's great news.
Doug Baldwin did not practice. He has a new injury, a groin injury.
Bad news.
You can't count on Doug Baldwin this year. You
No,
can't.
Sucks.
Leonard Fournette is practicing in full
great.
for Week 10 against the Colts. Vikings have claimed Amir Abdullah off of waivers from the Lions. Yeah, you got the Express going again, Mike?
The Express is in the train graveyard.
Yeah. Sam Darnold is out for Week 10 against the Bills. Josh McCown will start at quarterback for the Jets. We'll talk about the Jets-Bills game. It'll be the last preview we do on today's show, so we can hold our comments for that. But that is your quick news report. Don't forget, Mike is on Sunday Live. Last-minute news advice starts at anything you want to ask. Last minute, 1 hour before kickoff on Sunday on YouTube. You can find us youtube.com/thefantasyfootballers. You can also watch it on Instagram Live, Facebook, Periscope, and Twitch. We'll have more injury news in and out tomorrow. And I got through that pretty quick, right?
Yeah, good work.
Let's do the forecast.
Fantasy Forecast.
Next time you miss a show, I'm going to tell you your career's over, Jason. That's all I'm going to say.
You realize he's missed a lot of games, though. This is another game he will miss.
Well, all I'm saying is they didn't say he was going to miss more than this week. They didn't put him on IR.
Sure, but we know.
So saying his career over makes it's a little sad for Darren Sproles to go. He tweaked his hamstring. His career's over.
I guess what I'm saying
And
is
you could be right.
I don't believe he plays next year. And so his career's over after this season. So, yeah, hopefully he gets back next week or by the end of the season. It's just not this is not the way you wanted his career to finish. And this will be the finish of his career, is my opinion. Not
he
this
could come
season.
back and be a Super Bowl champ.
That's true.
Let's aim for the stars for Darren. Okay?
Okay.
Might land on the moon.
If you're aiming for the stars and you only hit the moon, you have failed.
I have run out of gas.
Isn't that the phrase? Like aim for
No.
Yeah.
No.
That's a thing, isn't
Aim
it?
for the stars, land on the moon?
Something like that.
Do these people know how far away stars are compared to the moon?
That's not the phrase. You
Okay.
can go ahead and look that one up.
I'm on it.
It's a little different than that. Teams coming off back from the bye: Bengals, Cardinals, Colts, Eagles, Giants, Jags. Let's get into the matchups. The Lions at 3-5 take on the Bears at 5-3. The Bears are at home and 6.5-point favorites. This game is a 45.5-point over/under. Now, the real story may be how many times will Matthew Stafford be
Sacked?
Matthew Sackford?
Many is the answer.
Khalil Mack is practicing in full. So the answer is many.
Yes.
But this, look, we said we're kind of pumping the brakes on offensive pieces. Go ahead, Jason. You seem to. It's aim. Don't you aim for?
So it goes
It's inverse, right?
It goes in both directions. There's plenty that say aim for the stars. If you fail, you'll land on the moon. And then the original quote, which is
The one we know.
Aim
which
for
is
the moon, shoot for the
stupid,
stars?
is shoot for the moon. Even if you miss, you'll land among the stars.
They're just not. The stars are very far from the moon.
Yes.
So wouldn't it make more sense what I said?
It's very scientifically inaccurate in general. Like yours is more like aim for the stars. You settle for the moon like 1/1,000,000th of the way there.
No, I aimed for the stars behind the moon, and I smacked hard into that moon.
Oh, you did not. Your navigation was a
Yeah,
little.
exactly right.
You went straight into a
Straight into the
satellite.
moon, yes.
He's floating. This is an adage. All right.
Okay.
Now that I see, I had to get back to that because I knew Jason wouldn't focus on this matchup without it.
Let's talk
Let's aim for the moon, Jay.
Lions
Let's go.
and Bears.
Marvin Jones. Do we expect him to improve in this matchup over last week's disappointing performance? I mean, Matthew Stafford. This is a tough matchup overall for the Lions.
Yeah, I'm not excited to play any of the Lions. You, of course, will be forced into playing them, but I've shifted my expectations for this week, and that includes Marvin. That includes Kenny Golladay.
Stafford, carry on.
Stafford, I'm not playing. I'm saying like Jones and Golladay, I will still play. Carry on. It was my pump the brakes. Chicago still has not given up a running back touchdown. He played the same exact snaps as Theo Riddick this past week, so I am not excited. I have Kerryon Johnson as like a lower level running back too.
I agree. This is also in Chicago. 36 degrees expected weather, wind of 14 miles an hour. I'm just saying it's a cold, windy day against a good
Sounds like
defense.
A day that would be very painful to get sacked 10 times.
Yes, and so I would take the under on this matchup, which is not good for fantasy production.
Could be good for Jordan Howard.
Yeah.
This could be the kind of matchup that Jordan Howard performs well in. I know that you're still confident in him or okay with him. I'm with you on that. I mean, he's an RB2. And is this a blow-up opportunity? Like, that's the question people ask about Mitchell Trubisky in general. Is this a game where he can blow up?
Yeah. I mean, I think he can get back on track. You knew the spot against the Bills was going to be tougher for Trubisky because the Bills they're a fine defense. They can apply pressure. And then the Bears DST scored twice, removing the option for Trubisky to even really do anything. So I think this is back to Trubisky is a low-end quarterback one starter. You can play him, and because he runs he's only behind Cam Newton, or at least he was this past week. I haven't checked it, but he was only behind Cam Newton in terms of quarterback rushing. He's still a fine play. And Allen Robinson coming back it also helps.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. The Lions have contained fantasy wide receivers this year, giving up 26.9 points per game on average. That's 8th best in the league. However, Allen Robinson being back, another weapon for Mitch Trubisky.
They do give up
He's
more.
our QB consensus number 12. Like, I combine our rankings, and he's our QB 12, so he's a fringe.
Yeah, and I would say the Lions, they've done well against wide receivers. They've given up a little bit more points against tight ends. So it's that's a better situation for Trey Burton, who is, if you've got Trey Burton, most teams are starting him, and hopefully this matchup can bear out at home against a team that's middle of the pack against tight ends.
You worry about any target problems for Burton with Robinson's return, or not really?
Not really. I mean, Robinson's been there the majority of the year.
And Burton's just doesn't get a ton of targets anyways. You're just hoping he scores.
Counting on touchdown anyway.
Yeah.
So, cool. Any other thoughts from this game?
Nope. But before we move on to the Saints-Bengals match, I want to thank today's sponsor, Quip. You know I love my Quip. Foot Clan, we're talking about them all the time. Quip is a better electric toothbrush created by dentists and designers. Look, they make brushing your teeth just a little bit easier to do in the morning. They got sensitive sonic vibration. It's gentle on your gums. They got a built-in 2-minute timer. It pulses every 30 seconds to remind you to switch sides, guide you to a full and even clean. This is my favorite feature of the toothbrush because I don't know what I'm doing in the morning, but my Quip, it guides me. You don't need a clunky charger. It lasts for a very, very long time on the battery. And it comes with a multi-use cover. You mount it right to your mirror. That's awesome. I've been using the Quip for years. I know these fellas have it. When I travel, I bring my Quip. I don't go to some garbage travel toothbrush. The Quip comes with me. They're backed by over 20,000 dental professionals, and Quip starts at just $25. And if you go to getquip.com/footballers right now, you're going to get your first refill pack for free with a Quip electric toothbrush. That's your first refill pack free at getquip.com/footballers.
And Foot Clan, today is the day you finally head over to Pristine Auction if you haven't been there yet, and start looking and browsing at all the incredible sports memorabilia that Pristine Auction has, signed by these sports stars, these celebrities. You can get movie posters signed by your favorite actors and actresses. Or, I mean, because it's an auction, the value that you can get is just crazy. I'm looking at a list of things that went yesterday. DeAndre Hopkins signed Texans jersey, JSA certified, $73. Sold. That's ridiculous. Or if you want to call your shot on a future guy who's super disappointed, like maybe John Ross, $38.
Oh,
you can just wear that. You can wear that around. Upgrade your wardrobe with signed, authentic JSA certified signatures. Pristine Auction has thousands of daily auctions. It changes every day. You've got to check it out. Christmas is coming. Head on over to Pristine Auction, PRISTINE auction.com. Make a completely free account and let them know that the Fantasy Footballers sent you.
The 7-1 Saints take on the 5-3 Bengals. The Bengals are 5.5-point underdogs at home. The game is a 54-point over-under. This is the highest over-under of the week. This is the game where, look, you're looking for opportunity. We don't know whether Dez will be active yet. Is that fair? Do we have any reports on whether he will be?
I would imagine
I
he
assume
will
he'll
be.
be active.
Yeah.
We just talked a lot about him. Drew Brees, big week last week. And the Bengals defense has just plain been bad. For fantasy purposes, they give up, they're in the bottom 5 at every position in terms of giving up fantasy points, especially bad against wideouts and tight ends. At this point, you're starting all of your Saints on the road. Does the high over-under give the Bengals a lot of opportunity here, sans A.J. Green? Because we know A.J. Green's not going to be there. That's 26% of the Bengals' targets.
Yeah, I mean,
Graham Barfield also said that's 35% of their inside the 10 targets.
Yeah,
I've had a hard time knowing where to go with Tyler Boyd this week.
I was going to say, I might take the over here, even in a high over-under, because the New Orleans Saints will be able to score all over the Bengals. But I'm not. I mean, the line here, the Saints, I would easily take them to cover, because with A.J. Green out, I don't know how much the Bengals are going to be able to keep pace with the Saints. The nice thing about Joe Mixon, he's a pass-catching back as well, so he's game script proof. He's going to be fine no matter what. Outside of Joe Mixon, I do worry a little bit with Tyler Boyd, with Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton, here's what will happen. He'll throw a couple picks because he's Andy Dalton, and at the end of the game, he'll have enough garbage time or enough productive, maybe it's not garbage time, but coming back and trying to do a play or two where he's an okay fantasy starter. But I'm not excited. Like, if A.J. Green were playing, Andy Dalton would just be supremely exciting for me.
Well, the challenge for me is the fact that the Bengals are at home and they're facing the Saints defense that gives up 41.7 fantasy points to the wide receiver position. That's dead last in football. And so you balance okay, maybe A.J. Green's not a core part of the offense, but can I get enough out of the other pieces? Like C.J. Uzomah seems interesting to me in this matchup from a target share standpoint. Obviously, you mentioned Mixon. I think Tyler Boyd is fine.
Yeah, Tyler Boyd, he has to be okay.
Here's the thing. Tyler Boyd is the slot receiver. According to Pro Football Focus, they've got him in the slot 73% of his snaps. So you're talking about Malone and Ross on the outside. P.J. Williams, the slot corner. I talk about him all the time on this show because I like to play my wide receivers against him. He is the weakest link for the Saints' passing defense.
Not last week, though. Last week he was really good.
Well, overall in the season,
sure,
I'm not going to, of course, a guy can have a great game here and there, but I think Boyd should be okay. But so I'm going to play him. I'm still going to have confidence in it, but it will be interesting to watch what happens with coverage if A.J. Green's not there to open things up.
Desperate break-the-glass play, game with the highest over-under of the week, the home team. Andy Dalton should air it out. Are you starting John Ross or John Malone?
John Malone.
I would start John Ross.
Did I say John Ross or Josh Malone?
You said
I think I reversed their first name.
No, you said John Ross or John Malone. You used to win double John.
They have to share a name.
I'll go Josh. I'll go Josh Ross.
Josh Ross.
Do you love it?
Nice.
Look, I would probably go with Ross as well with the first-round pick, big playability.
Tyler Boyd thus far this year, 66 targets. That's the same number as Keenan Allen on the year, for what it's worth. On the other side, one quick question is, what can you do with Mark Ingram? He's our consensus RB21. That feels generous, considering his recent performances, but this is a high over and under game.
The matchup is good. There should be a lot of points, so you can still play Mark Ingram.
Okay, all right. 4-4 Falcons travel to the Browns. Browns are 2-6-1. They are 4-point underdogs at home.
Only 4?
Yeah.
Good work, Cleveland.
50.5 point over under. I had an inkling here. I did not make it my almost upset, but I had an inkling.
Really?
I did. They showed something last week against Kansas City, being able to battle back a little bit. Baker Mayfield has thrown for multiple touchdowns 3 weeks in a row. David Njoku seems healthy again, healthier than he was a couple of weeks ago. I had a thought. I didn't do it, though. So
yeah, I get where you're coming from. I think that the potential loss of Denzel Ward for the Cleveland Browns, the DB, that he's been an absolute stud. If you're not paying attention to Denzel Ward,
it was number 4 pick or
something?
I
mean, very, very high draft pick and coming through. I mean, it takes a while for fantasy players to come around and know the names of certain DBs where you go, oh, crap, my wide receiver's up against this guy. Denzel Ward is quickly approaching that status already in his young career, but he got hurt last week. He would see a lot of Calvin Ridley if he plays, and their replacement right now, their insurance, is Phillip Gaines, who was waived by Buffalo. So if Ward is out, Calvin Ridley will get a slight bump in the rankings.
This matchup, I know we're going to get into starts of the week later. There are some players that will be featured in the starts of the week from this matchup. Like I said,
this is a great matchup.
Baker's thrown multiple touchdowns 3 weeks in a row. Atlanta gives up the 4th most passing yards per game right now.
Over 300.
So and Baker's at home. And I think it's a strong start for Baker Mayfield this week. Right now, Nick Chubb, I've got him very high this week. I like the matchup for Nick Chubb.
Yeah, Chubb's a great play. Duke Johnson, I think, is also a great play. This is
Duke Johnson or Mark Ingram. We just talked about Ingram.
I mean, I've said this for a couple weeks running now, wrong. I believe in Mark Ingram. I think he's going to have a great game. So I would still have Mark Ingram ahead of Duke Johnson. But
do you think that Duke Johnson with the pass catching against the Falcons, I mean, the Falcons are notorious. They always allow the most receptions to running backs just the way they play defense. Do you think Duke Johnson has a safer floor than Mark Ingram?
Yeah, I definitely think that Duke Johnson has a safer floor if you're in a PPR league. But this is a situation where if for some reason you have Chubb and Duke Johnson, I would be fine on the same roster starting both of these guys, and that's going to be rare as the season goes along. This is not a Tevin Coleman, Devonta Freeman, proven offense. And then of course Matt Ryan, we got to mention him just because he has been on fire, leading the league in yards per game. You've got to start Matt Ryan if you've got him.
Now we're talking about smashing the glass. I love Tevin Coleman. We're going to feature him a little bit later, foreshadow. How do you feel about Ito Smith? He's playing on about the mid 40% of snaps, high over under. He was 10 for 60, had a beastly touchdown this past week. Are you okay in an emergency throwing Ito Smith in your flex, or are you trying to find a different option?
I am okay
the matchups
with it.
Makes it fine.
Okay.
Yeah, he is a matchups, play.
He makes me so sad because I drafted a lot of Devonta Freeman, and he is getting so many goal line opportunities, Ito Smith is, and he's just not that good. And so it's like, my Devonta Freeman would have been great.
I like Ito Smith.
Yeah,
I do too. I think he's a great guy.
I think he's fine.
I think he's going to shape up to be a good running back.
Yeah, it takes time, Jason.
Yeah.
Give his career is over.
I'm sorry to see him retire like this.
I looked Austin Hooper's way a little bit this week to try to figure out, and that was just on the basis of, look, the Browns are real bad against tight ends. I settled on the fact that I think Austin Hooper benefited quite a bit from injuries to Sanu and Calvin Ridley.
Yes.
And that's where his explosion came from. And like we said, there are 3 starts of the week we're going to feature from this game, so you're just going to have to wait.
Oh!
The 3-5 Jags take on the 3-5 Colts.
Andy's almost upset of the week.
The only way I can do that is because of this next part. The Colts are 3-point favorites at home. It's a 46.5-point over-under. That's right on my line of where I'm allowed to throw my almost upset of the weekend.
Of course. You make the rules.
I do.
I
make all the rules.
I love this almost upset. It's crazy to me that the Colts are favored in this game.
This is the line that surprises me the most. They're both 3-5 teams. Jags coming off the bye week. Get Leonard Fournette back. Get things fixed. Get things put back together a little bit. I think it's going to be a Jags victory. But what does that mean for fantasy?
Well, look, we're going to talk about Fournette a little bit later. There's obviously concerns as to whether or not you can start him on the first week back. We have a lot of history here this season of starting a player the first week back from injury not being a good idea, whether it was Doug Baldwin or Dalvin Cook or a lot of players. So we'll discuss in a little bit if I think it's a good idea to start him. He does make, assuming that he continues practicing, Carlos Hyde, TJ Yeldon irrelevant to me. I don't.
I agree. Well, I don't think Yeldon's irrelevant.
Yeah, I mean, but for fantasy, you're not going to start Yeldon, are you?
No.
Only if you believe game script was going to be that the Colts are way out ahead. I mean, that would be the situation where you're looking at it.
We had talked about Ito or Yeldon. Like, I would rather play Ito
for sure.
Yeah.
Other questions from this game. Let's stay on that side of the ball. We talked about, Jason has Blake Bortles as a streamer this week.
Yeah, and I think I think it's fine.
I think it's fine. I have some
I put some doubt in your soul.
I have some regrets.
I believe it's 4 of the last 5 games.
Oh, the Colts.
The Colts have allowed at least a top 15 quarterback, and that includes the list of Derek Carr and Sam Darnold.
No, the Colts have been putridly bad. That's why I made Blake Bortles the stream of the week. And I think in a deep situation, I do think he's okay. But the Jaguars,
that's a something's got to give situation, though, Mike. That's not. You can look at all the what Colts have given up, or you can look up how bad Blake Bortles has been: 8 turnovers, 3 touchdowns in a 4-week span, and then you say something's got to give. You both lean on this side that Blake Bortles is going to have a fantasy-worthy performance. I think he's going to have a game-winning performance that can win the game. I don't think he's going to translate to fantasy.
I think the
points.
reason that we lean towards Blake Bortles being the victor of that something's got to
like
give.
that
Did he lose the S?
Yeah, he's singular now.
Yeah,
Did I?
Yeah, he just Bortle.
Bortle.
Yeah, I'm going to roll with that.
Bo.
I like it. Blake Bortles is it's a laugh in a mug. I think he's going to win the something's got to give
sounding.
Because we've seen Blake Bortles be terrible and then be great 100 times in his short career.
He's also been terrible and then terrible.
For fantasy.
If you made that argument the last 3 weeks.
But when's the last time we've seen the Colts defense step up and be great? So
it was.
I get it.
My
Eric
worry
Anderson.
about Blake Bortles is not him. My worry about Blake Bortles is Fournette, because this team has been losing with Fournette out. This team has been losing, putting the game on the back of Blake Bortles. They want to win, and so I worry that Blake Bortles is going to throw the ball 18 times.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I think they can win the game, and he can still be irrelevant. You're not really starting a wide receiver for them. You're not starting a tight end for them. So on the other side, the tight end debate between Jack Doyle and Eric Ebron.
I'll just throw out, if you're going to start one, it's Moncrief right now.
For you?
Yeah, 4 of the
Have
past.
fun.
Look,
the last game they played, it would have been Westbrook, right?
But just saying, Moncrief, he has a goose egg. So this is not I'm super excited for Moncrief because he has a goose egg in the middle of it. But 4 of the past 5 games, he's hit at least 50 yards, 70-plus yards in 3 of those. So he has been we talked about this all season, who's going to emerge as the most reliable guy. It does seem like Moncrief is the most reliable. It's disgusting, but we're at the disgusting part of the season.
Jack Doyle, Eric Ebron.
Doyle.
Yeah, I would go
The
Doyle.
matchup's good.
Yeah, I think you can get away with playing Eric Ebron. He's been a touchdown machine, of course, but I'm going to play the guy who's getting the more snaps, running the more routes, getting targets. That's just how I prefer my tight end.
Yeah, and Jacksonville's defense has been disappointing to fantasy owners playing the DST, but they've actually they have not been a great matchup for any position when you're playing your quarterbacks or running backs or wide receivers against Jacksonville. They just haven't been getting the fantasy relevant sacks, turnovers, touchdowns on defense.
Are you worried at all about starting T.Y. Hilton this week? He's our consensus wide receiver 19, seeing almost 8 targets a game, but playing a Jacksonville defense.
Slightly. He'll get Ramsey. Jalen Ramsey will shadow T.Y. Hilton, I believe.
Yeah, I believe so as well.
So, yes, but that's not going to stop me. I'm going to play Hilton.
Yeah, I feel like you have to play Hilton.
Yes, you do.
You just have to,
So last
squint
year,
your eyes when you click submit.
Last year against Jacksonville, T.Y. Hilton averaged 9 targets, 4.5 catches, 54 yards, and a half a touchdown. So that's not what you want from T.Y. Hilton, but you will live with those numbers for a week.
This will be a fun one. The 2-6 Cardinals travel to Arrowhead to take on the 8-1 Chiefs. The Chiefs are moderate 16.5-point favorites.
People betting on the Cardinals.
In a game with a 49.5-point over-under, that is a pretty low implied point total for Arizona. Josh Rosen and company traveling to a very difficult place to play to face a team that's going to eviscerate them. Fantasy-wise in this game, I think you're trying to figure out where your value is on Arizona because the Chiefs' defense gives up a lot of points. That's just what they do. If you look at last week's game, especially the running back position, Duke Johnson and Nick Chubb both had big games getting blown out by the Chiefs. So I think David Johnson's a great start this week, so much so that we're going to talk about him in a moment. But where else is the value? Larry?
No, I mean
Maybe.
So in a game like this where the Chiefs can get beat deep and it's on the road, I would lean more towards Christian Kirk than I would Larry in this matchup if I had to pick one of those two. If this were at home against a better defense, I would switch.
So you lean Kirk. Mike, do you lean Larry or Kirk?
It depends on what my team needs. Larry, he's scored in 2 consecutive games. He's had at least 8 targets in the past 3 games. The turnaround with Byron Leftwich now as the offensive coordinator, can that turn things around? And the health of Larry Fitzgerald, I think, has been an underrated topic of when it was kind of the demise of Larry. He had a hamstring problem that he was playing through.
You're starting all the big boys for Kansas City: Mahomes, Hunt, Hill, Kelsey. The only question mark for fantasy owners comes down to Sammy Watkins because he is dealing with a foot injury.
I would prefer
he's
not
a major
to play him.
risk this week because they can afford to sit him, and even if they don't sit him, they can afford to sit him during the game at some point. So you're not. I'm going to go a different direction on my dynasty team as of today. Now, if I get reports full practice, feeling fine, everything's happy, maybe I change that. But right now I'm not.
And early reports are that Kareem Hunt will break the single game record for carries and yards and touchdowns.
Oh, Kareem going to eat?
I'm going to double check this real quick, but yeah, he's my number 1 running back on the week, no doubt. He'll probably be all of our number 1 running back on the week.
He'll probably be the number 1 running back on the week. I mean, this is just such a good matchup for him.
We need to get some sort of Z-Quill sponsorship for the lowest point total of the week.
Oh.
Can we do that? Brooks, do you got those guys on? No? You don't know them?
Nope.
Take a snooze with the Bills and Jets.
The 2-7 Bills.
It might be listed under NyQuil.
It might be listed under NyQuil.
Check the Rolodex.
It's really – we
Or
need to get them
Dayquil.
competing. I'm willing to take on Ambien even in this situation.
Oh, we can have the Dayquil start of the game of the week, the highest over-under, and the Z-Quil.
Clear your head.
We need more like the Monster Energy drink, Red Bull start of the
Sure.
week. Then
Get jacked.
I don't think a lot of people are doing the Dayquil to get hyped. I mean,
true.
that's not really.
That's fair.
I
It's a little-
my Dayquil in.
Yeah, I'm real dried out.
I'm really excited. This is going to be a fun Saturday. I just took some Dayquil. Let's do this.
All right, let's go to the snooze. The 2-7 Bills. This is a new game. We call it Who Would You Dare Start?
Robbie Anderson.
I'm not rolling Robbie Anderson.
No,
out.
you said dare. I'm not going to want
the
to
2-7
roll.
Bills, the 3-6 Jets. The Jets are 6.5-point home favorites in a game with a 36.5-point over/under. It is the battle of the backups, most likely. Josh Allen could be back. If it's not Josh Allen, it's Derek Anderson. Oh, do I have to talk
We're
about
go back
this?
to Derek Anderson?
Yeah, he already said that they're not going to Peterman. Yeah. McCoy.
Why is Peterman on the team?
This is something E.J. Manuel wants to know. LaShawn McCoy is the only player that you are allowed to start legally.
And it's gross.
And it's not fun.
Yeah, this is not
Would
a
you
good
start Duke Johnson or LaShawn McCoy this
Duke
week?
Johnson.
Would you start Ito Smith or LaShawn McCoy this week?
That is tougher, and
Yeah, that's very close.
that's close. I'd probably go
Shady.
I would sadly go Shady. The problem with Shady, we talked about it. It's like 24 yards in his last 24 carries, not getting it done on the ground. But he's been okay because he's so involved through the air as they've been down huge in these games. The question is, will they really need to air it out against the Jets? Will they be down by such that they're going to pass the ball a lot and get I think they'll be able to give McCoy more carries in this game, which won't be good for fantasy for him.
They have needed to air it out in every game they've played.
Right?
That's not been the issue. They can't. They actually can't do it. There is no option. There is no choice. McDermott doesn't call a play where he says, now you're going to air it out. Instead, he goes, let's go Wildcat when we're down 3 scores. That's what he does no matter what. So if you want to take the volume roll of the dice against the Jets, feel free.
And Chris Ivory hurt his shoulder. I would expect Marcus Murphy will be the backup, but will Murphy get as many snaps as Chris Ivory was taking? I mean, is this Shady's on the field 85% of the time?
If Shady was going to ever perform, It has to be this game against the Jets.
Sure.
On the other side of the ball, we talked about Elijah McGuire, the surprising snap counts. Josh McCown's back at quarterback.
Yeah.
And
let's go.
Look, McCown's back at quarterback.
The gladiator.
I'm not going to give nothing to no one because McCown's back, including Robbie Anderson.
Oh, Robbie!
But if there was someone, it would be Robbie Anderson.
Yes, it would 100% be Robbie, as Aaron McCown will go deep. He will do this.
He'll throw it.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, that's good enough.
McCown was very good. When we, at least for fantasy purposes, you've been very surprised by McCown in recent history. I think the Jets are a better team right now with Josh McCown as a quarterback. I legitimately believe that. I mean, Darnold is the future, but McCown is a good average quarterback. Like, he's better than Darnold at this point.
Darnold's the future, McCown's the past. They have no present, and you rather have the past for fantasy.
Very, very fair point.
Yeah, well said.
Mike, you call yourself there. You said he's a good average quarterback.
Yeah.
He's one of the best average quarterbacks you can get.
Yes.
Of the average guys, he's good.
Can I be clear that I am done talking about this matchup?
Well, let's just real quick. You
go start the defenses. How about that?
Yes, the Jets DST. My goodness. But with McGuire's snap counts, are you flexing him?
I am playing Elijah McGuire ahead of Sammy Watkins in my dynasty team right now based on the injury concerns. So I feel like there is a guarantee of production from one of those guys, and his name's Elijah McGuire.
Is there any hope for Isaiah Crowell, who still gets double-digit carries?
Yeah, there's hope.
Only a fool's hope.
See?
Let's get into the starts, please.
Starts of the week.
All right, starts of the week for week 10. Now, around the studio, we have the little game we play where once somebody gets in here and gets their starts in before the other guys, they normally say, hey, you should probably get your starts in this week. I didn't hear it this week, so when I got on there real early this morning to lock mine in, I thought maybe I'd be the first one in, and you both had your starts in already. So I'm not going to go.
You just didn't hear me yesterday. I said it.
Clearly, yeah. I'm not going to go first because you've established yourself. You've put your roots down.
You got to establish dominance.
Who had them in first, though, Jason or Mike?
I did.
Okay, Jason, kick it off.
All right, let's
whatever
start.
Position you want.
Well, then let's start at running back, the most important position for fantasy to get right. My start of the week is Leonard Fournette.
You're back in.
I am back in, and here's what it's going to take, because this requires 3 practices in full this week. He's already 1 for 1. Today is going to be today will be everything.
2 P tests.
I
need his 40 time.
They held him out for a long time to ensure he's fully recovered, so he could get to the bye week. The second the bye week was over, he practiced in full, meaning he should be completely healthy. If he does not suffer a setback at all, if he practices limited today or tomorrow, I'm off of him, and you can make my start of the week another guy I like in Dion Lewis. I really like what the Titans have been doing and saying, Derrick Henry sucks. And now they've finally figured that out and are giving Dion Lewis the ball. But Leonard Fournette, I think, will come back to a completely full workload based on what's happened in his absence, based on them saying, oh, no, we have Blake Bortles, based on the Indianapolis Colts across the field who can't stop the running backs. Leonard Fournette should be a top running back this week, and so he is my start of the week.
Okay. All right. I'm a little less bullish myself. I got him at 20 at the moment. Mike, who's your running back start of the week?
I'm going to go with Tevin Coleman. I want
little butt tap for him.
Yeah.
Tevin Coleman.
Thank you. It's been a while. It has been a while since we've been able to give the Coleman the soul man.
Yeah.
And last week they got it going, which the encouraging part was the play of the offensive line really getting things going this past week. I think it can continue. The matchup is juicy. The Browns align with the 29th. They're 29th best against fantasy running backs, and the high over-under. I want in on this, and I think Coleman's a great play this week.
I feel like the only reason we ever say 29th best, 30th best is because we can't do the reverse math out of
You're
out
100%.
Out of the backup.
Why are you breaking the secrets for everybody?
So
if only there were only 10 teams in the league, I could do the math.
The reverse math?
Yeah.
Now, Tevin Coleman, you said it's been a while since you gave him the Soul Man treatment.
Yes.
It's been a little while since you guys gave my guy, my start of the week,
It's been a while.
the treatment he deserves, and I need it this week. My start of the week is David Johnson.
Oh!
Yeah. Look,
When he comes through.
I get
No! Come on. He needs it. Remember, it fuels him.
I just
Let me see if I can get you there.
All right, yeah, talk me
Let
up.
me see if I can get you there.
Inflate the balloon.
It doesn't matter who you are right now. If you face the Chiefs and you're a running back,
That's one inflation.
Duke Johnson, Nick Chubb, Phillip Lindsay, the last 3 games blown up against the Chiefs. TJ Hernandez says David Johnson is the only player to see 40% of his team touches in every single game this year. And he ran. He ran a season-high 30 pass routes in Week 8.
David Johnson.
Yes. David Johnson.
Let's go, David.
I'm giving it to David Johnson. I think he's out there. I think he's catching passes. I think he's doing more than you expect. I have him right now at running back 9.
The passing work was so encouraging. I mean, it was encouraging really for all Cardinals. It looked, and the usage. We're only 1 week in, of course, from it, but the usage for all players was very Bruce Arians. So I was very excited to see that.
All right, my start of the week at quarterback is Phillip Rivers, who has been fantastic this year. He's coming off of a somewhat down game, only 228 yards, 2 touchdowns, but that was against the Seattle Seahawks, who were, going into that week, the number 1 most difficult for fantasy quarterback matchup in the league, and now he goes to Oakland. It has been more than a month, since a quarterback has not thrown for 3 touchdowns against them. Ooh. If you play against them, you're throwing 3 touchdowns.
That was Nick Mullins.
Yeah, I mean, I like that Oakland is at home because they're going to fight a little bit more than the way they rolled over this last week. I do expect Melvin Gordon to have every Charger is going to have a great game, but it'll start with Phillip Rivers. He'll have a multi-touchdown game. He's been, playing at an MVP level this year. He to me is a must start this week.
No doubt about that. Mike?
Sure. My quarterback start of the week is Baker Mania, and he's still in my stream version ranking. So he's not like, he's a top 10 guy, you must play him, but you're probably having to stream, or it's possible you have to stream this week. Atlanta, we talked about 4th most passing yards allowed. Baker is playing better. Antonio Callaway is actually playing better as well. It's just the Cleveland unit as a whole, weird. I mean, it's shocking. It's shocking that Hugh Jackson has gone and the team is performing a little bit better. I mean, I, for one, I can't believe it.
It's the rubber band effect. I mean, eventually they'll miss him.
Yeah. But look, I think he's in a good spot here against the Atlanta Falcons. Everyone's in a good spot against the Falcons.
I heard that the Rams are really missing Jeff Fisher. Eventually it happens.
Doubt it.
Well, he built that team. He set the foundation for McVay.
I'm going with Ryan Fitzpatrick for a 2nd week in a row.
Heck yeah.
Ryan Fitzpatrick taking on Washington. To me, it's easy money. When he starts, outside of the one Chicago game, he's a 25-plus fantasy performer in all the rest of his starts. I think it's 7 other games. He will get it done one way or another. It will be through playing well or playing well late. He will throw interceptions. He will make you roll your eyes. And as long as he doesn't get pulled for Jameis Winston at some point in this game, he's going to put up 3 touchdowns. That's just what happens. And Washington, in and of themselves, they haven't been good in terms of defending, in terms of fantasy points against for the quarterback. I think there's a good opportunity that Ryan Fitzpatrick makes you happy no matter how the team does.
Mike, you go.
I got him at 7 this week.
For wide receivers? Wide receiver start of the week, you got to get him in. Josh Gordon. We've seen him hit 100 yards 2 of the past 3 weeks.
Off the injury report entirely for the first time.
That's even better news. But the reason I'm so excited for Josh Gordon is Malcolm Butler He will be trying to, I'm going to use air quotes, he will be guarding Josh Gordon on the primary, the most percentage of his routes. Malcolm Butler is an absolute shell of what he was in New England. He stinks, and it won't surprise me in the slightest. It's a bit narrative, but it would not surprise me to see Uncle Bill want to stick it to Butler just a little bit more and have Gordon go over the top. Brady, the connection between Brady and Gordon it's real.
It's becoming stronger each and every week.
I mean, getting the targets. I love Gordon this week.
Percentage chance that you believe Gordon will be a wide receiver 1 this week?
In the wide receiver 1 category,
So top 12 finish?
I would put it at about 35%.
Okay, I got him ranked at 14 right now. I could see that happening this week, no doubt.
Yeah, definitely. So my start of the week at wide receiver,
Did you pivot?
I pivoted.
I like your pivot. I like your pivot.
Look, my start of the week was going to be Marquez Valdez.
I love that.
No, I like it too, and I think you can play him because now with Geronimo Allison out. With Geronimo Allison out, at home, at Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers, he's a good play. But I could also see it going the way of they don't really need him much against the Dolphins.
He's just been a 3-4 catch guy max.
So, look, he's a good play, but I don't want to bank on him as my start of the week. And yesterday I was thinking about the fact that there's a player I love who basically has taken over this position for me. And 2 of the last 4 weeks, he hasn't even got 40 receiving yards, 1 touchdown in his last 4 games. You might be squeamish in what appears to be a tough matchup against Carolina, but I'm going to the star. JuJu Smith-Schuster is my start of the week this week. He's going to have a monster game, an absolute monster
so you're
game.
calling for the monster
calling
game.
for a monster. Like I would put him in ahead of Josh Gordon.
You've crashed into the moon already, Jason. We know you were going for the stars.
He's jumping off. He's jumping off the moon.
Off the moon?
Away from Earth to see how far he can go. No, I love JuJu this week, and if you're worried that, he might be a guy, if you've got deep wide receivers that you're going, he hasn't really done it since those first 3 weeks of the season. His red zone usage, his target volume, he's going to have an explosive big game tonight. We get to find out tonight.
You show me a team where they've got such wide receiver depth that they go, nah, I'm going to bench JuJu, and I'll give you $5.
Show you my dynasty team.
I'll go as opposite to that hot take as you can get. And look, I know I burned alive at the stake with Jermaine Kearse. I don't care.
Oh.
I don't care because I do care. That was terrible. It was the worst thing I've ever done in my life. But because of how it ended up. But my job here is to bring you analysis. My start of the week is to say this. You can flex this player, okay? Maurice Harris. Last week, 12 targets, 10 receptions. Jamison Crowder's banged up. Paul Richardson's on IR. Maurice Harris, wide receiver. Brooks would be – I could feel Brooks' glare of saying, say the team he's on because of the fact that, he already wrote it in. He straight up wrote it in the doc. Washington Redskins wideout, big performance last week. Alex Smith has a comfort level with him, made big plays, and Tampa Bay is the worst passing defense in football. They're playing Tampa Bay. I think you can play Maurice Harris confidently as a flex player if Jamison Crowder sits.
Yeah, I agree with that. And, I will even piggyback on that a little bit in deep leagues. I think you can play Josh Doxson again. The injuries at the offensive line for Washington, I think that's going to dictate the terms of how the offense is going to be able to perform. Adrian Peterson is going to be tough sledding for him to get it going with the injuries, and Tampa Bay is going to score points. You're not going to be able to stop that. So I agree. I think the pass catchers for Washington are interesting, and the huge target volume. Paul Richardson actually on the IR. These guys are interesting. And no, I'm not interested in Jordan Reed. You've let me down. You've hurt me too much.
All right, for my tight end start of the week, I hate having guys in Thursday Night Football, right? You put it out there. The whole world's watching. They've got to perform, but you've got to stay in the flames. He's heating up. talking about Greg Olsen, 3
Yes.
touchdowns in 3 weeks. The matchup is wonderful tonight against Pittsburgh. Because it is in Pittsburgh, I like it a lot more. I could see if this game were in Carolina, I could see it being a lower scoring game. If Big Ben can't get rolling on the road against Carolina's defense amped up at home. But because it is in Pittsburgh, I'm taking the over on this game, and I'm obviously very hopeful in that with JuJu and Greg Olsen. I'm hoping that they have a really high-scoring game tonight, stay in the flames with JuJu and with Greg Olsen. He's the number 1 target right now. I mean, if you look at Devin Funchess and DJ Moore, and it's Greg Olsen back to being the number 1.
Sure. In Jason's style, I'm going to pivot off of my tight end start of the week. My start of the week is going to be at the tight end position. It's going to be Travis Kelce. I think he's going to have an absolute monster game against the Arizona Cardinals.
That's a great call, Mike.
I'm pivoting. I'm going Rodgers, Hunt, Brown, Ertz. I'm talking big games. I'm talking big games.
Bodied.
Rodgers, Hunt, Brown, and Ertz.
My actual tight end start of the week, he was a little bit lower level. I think he's just outside of my top 12 right now. But if you got to stream, Ben Watson is in a very good position. The Cincinnati Bengals giving up the 3rd most fantasy points to the tight end. It's atrocious. Their defense has looked very, very bad. And
I love how good Ben Watson is as an old man. I
Yes.
really do. It gives me hope for these days coming my way.
And they're still designing plays for Ben Watson. That touchdown,
You don't worry about Dez?
a little bit.
Maybe not week 1, though.
But it's his first week in the
Yeah.
offense. Let him get acclimated. So I'm still confident playing Ben Watson if you got to pivot.
And I'm going to show no fear at all and circle back to David Njoku as the start of the week here. 5, 6, 7, 4, 4. That's his reception totals over the last 6 weeks. He goosed me in the middle of that when I made him a start of the week. But I'm going to show forgiveness. And David Njoku looked healthier last week. Takes on Atlanta. Atlanta struggles against – and look, we talked about Baker.
Everybody?
Against everybody. And Baker, 3 touchdowns. Let's say Baker has 3 touchdowns again this week. You see one of those going to David Njoku?
Yeah, high
There's
probability.
pretty high odds of that. So even though he burned me bad, even though people are scared, I see people with trade requests for David Njoku. Do I start him? I think you're going to get more good than bad from him rest of the season. No more goose. I'm going back to David Njoku.
Njoku. I like it. All right, Mike. I'll try to make it up to you here with a good rhyme.
Your rhyme is outstanding. I already saw it.
Jason Moore's ironclad, locked and loaded, 100% guaranteed boom boom kicker of the week.
Pick the guy all the Cougars want to marry and go with the old kicker, Adam Vinatieri.
Wow.
That I believe is the first time the descriptive word of Cougars has been mentioned on this show.
Yeah, hopefully not the last. Am I right?
Do you remember that? do you remember when we first surprised you with this segment?
Yes, I do.
Out of the blue. Now it's just
it's just a staple.
Yeah.
In my forehead.
I was going to say, no algorithms were used in the making of this segment.
That is true.
All right.
Maybe a rhyme dictionary.
Maybe rhymezone.com.
Oh, not for this one.
No, that was just brainchild. That you shoot for Saturn.
Yep. Land on Uranus.
Oh, it was right there.
At least he got it.
Low-hanging fruit.
Enjoy the game tonight, everybody. Good luck getting a solid start to your fantasy week.
Yeah, and if you're going to play some daily this weekend, you got to go to draft.com/ballers. We will see you tomorrow, Foot Clan. Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Join our fantasy football community on jointhefoot.com and follow us on Twitter @TheFFBallers.